Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Betsy. Today I'm going to be talking about backpacking the Trans-Catalina Trail. Whether you're considering doing the TCT or are in the planning stages, this video will be helpful to you. I'm going to cover gear, what you need to bring, transportation to the island and within the island, itinerary, and useful need to know information. Everything is time-stamped in the description if you need to jump ahead. Some background information about the TCT. It is 38.5 miles. However, if you decide to hike to Starlight Beach, which I highly recommend, that's going to add about another 10 miles to your hike. If you've never backpacked before, I do think that this is a great place to start because you are always somewhat close to civilization. So if you decide that you do not want to continue, there is a way out. There's also restrooms at every campground, so no need for a shovel. And there's water at every campground with the exception of Parsons Landing. Let's jump into the first thing that I'm going to cover today, and that is gear, what you need to bring. If you've never backpacked before, it is recommended that you keep your pack under 30 pounds. I'm going to be backpacking part of the Trans-Catalina Trail, and I'm going to show you what I'm bringing. Some of the essentials: tent, sleeping pad, sleeping bag. What about food prep? I'm going to show you. If I'm backpacking alone, this is all I bring. But it's 4 of us, so I'm bringing all of this full kitchenware. Emergency beacon, I never hike without it. Moleskins for blisters, emergency kit, headlamp, toe warmers, knife, fire kit, poncho. You cannot bring canisters on the ferry, but don't worry, you can purchase propane on the island. If you're arriving at Avalon, there is a hardware store, or you can go to Hermit Gulch Campground and there you can purchase propane. You can also get some at the general store at Two Harbors if you're starting from that side of the island. You also need a lighter, a spork, some sort of container for your food, sunscreen because you do have full sun exposure. There are a few places with some shading, but for the most part the entire TCT is uncovered with direct sunlight. A hat, sunglasses, comfortable hiking shoes or trail runners, socks, a change of clothes, a bathing suit if you plan on jumping in the water, and a lightweight backpacking towel. Food and water. You might not need as much food as you think you do because there are several places where you can stop and grab yourself a nice, delicious, hot meal, and I'll talk more about that once we discuss itinerary. As far as water, there aren't any streams or anywhere where you can filter your own water, but every campground, with the exception of Parsons Landing, does have tap water so that you can fill up, use it for cooking, or whatever you may need. If you're doing the TCT with a large group or with children, there are services that will lug your gear from campground to campground, and that's something that might be worth it to you. The service fee is based on leg of the trip rather than weight. Next, let's cover getting to Catalina. The most common and affordable way to reach the island is via ferry, and there are 4 ports: Long Beach, San Pedro, Dana Point, and Newport Beach. The price per person is $37.25 each way, which comes out to $74.50 round trip. The other option is to book a helicopter ride, and that runs you about $150 per person each way, so about $300 per person round trip. If you get seasick or want the experience and have the funds, this might be a great option for you. Itinerary. I highly recommend that you do this in 4 to 5 days. This will give you time to take it at a moderate pace without rushing and not feeling exhausted after every day. You can, however, do this in 2 days if you're comfortable backpacking 20 miles a day. If you're not an experienced hiker, or if you are an experienced hiker but don't have experience hiking with a 30-pound pack, don't underestimate this. For the purpose of this video, we're gonna start in Avalon. That is where I started, and we're gonna hike to Blackjack Campground. When I did this, I arrived in Avalon at 10:45 a.m., started hiking at 11:15 a.m., and the weather was perfect. It was in the high 50s, it was overcast, and the reason why I say that was perfect weather is because there is no shade on this trail. You have complete sun exposure, and during the summer it gets really hot, and to hike 11 miles under direct sunlight can be brutal. If I was doing this in the summer, I would highly recommend start as early as possible so that you don't get caught in the heat. We arrived at our campsite at 4:45 p.m. Blackjack Campground is the highest campground on the island at 1,600 feet above sea level. The views are of rolling hills. There are 10 campsites. There's potable water, an outdoor shower, chemical toilets, and there's no ranger on site. Day 2, Blackjack Campground to Little Harbors. This is an 8-mile day, and 2 miles from Blackjack Campground there is the Catalina Airport. The reason why that's important is, one, there is a restaurant there and they have really good food, or I don't know if I was just really hungry and excited to have a real meal, that the food tasted incredible. They have burgers, salads, sandwiches, hot dogs, they have cookies. You might also find that you are pretty exhausted from the previous day, and if you didn't get a campsite at Little Harbors and day 2 you have to hike to 2 harbors, that's going to be a 14-mile day. If you're really tired and just cannot see yourself doing that, well, the good thing is that at the airport there is a shuttle service where they will take you from the airport to Little Harbors, which means that if you have to hike to 2 harbors, then that's gonna save you 8 miles, and all you'll have to do is hike 6 miles from Little Harbors to 2 harbors. If you're thinking, well, if I'm going to take a shuttle service, why wouldn't I just take it to 2 harbors instead of Little Harbors and not hike that day? Well, the reason being is that there's no shuttle service from the airport to 2 harbors. If you do get to camp at Little Harbors, it is overlooking the ocean. It is on the backside of Catalina Island. There are 26 campsites. There's beach access, potable water, cold showers, chemical toilets, some shaded structures, and typically there is a ranger on site. Day 3, Little Harbors to 2 harbors. This is going to be 6 miles, and when you get to 2 harbors, you get rewarded because there is a restaurant, there is a bar, and there is a general store. There are 47 campsites. You have beach access, showers, bathrooms, potable water. There are picnic tables at every campsite here at 2 harbors and all the other campsites that I mentioned. Day 4, 2 harbors to Parsons Landing. This is going to be 6 miles. Before you head to Parsons Landing though, make sure you stop by visitor services and purchase water and firewood. There's no water at Parsons Landing, so you'll want to make sure that you have water. And the way that this works is they're going to give you a key. Once you get to Parsons Landing, you're going to go to the locker and collect your water and firewood. Parsons Landing is a secluded campground, and it's only accessible by foot or by kayak. It is a primitive campground with 8 sites, chemical toilets. Once you get to Parsons Landing, I recommend set up your camp and then hike to Starlight Beach and back. That will make it a 16-mile day. If that is too much, then I recommend stay an extra night at Parsons Landing, and on day 5, hike to Starlight Beach and back. Then on day 6, hike back to 2 harbors and then take the ferry to the mainland. So those are your options. You can do the TCT in 2 to 3 days or 4 to 6. It really just depends on you. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask. Leave a comment down below, or you can DM me on Instagram. I am at Betsy Carr. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you all next time.